For these problems, we're going to find the quotients. And a quotient is just the answer to a division problem. So let's look at some examples. If you notice, these are all division problems, but the divisor, or the number being divided by, is 10 on every one of these. So all of these numbers are going to be divided by 10. Well, we really haven't learned how to divide with big numbers yet, so we're going to think about what we already know about the place value system to solve these problems without doing any steps for division. And so before we start, let's remind ourselves what we know about our place value and the relationship between the places. Remember when it moves from one place to the next, going from right to left, it's getting 10 times bigger. It's multiplying by 10. But when you go from left to right, you're getting 10 times smaller. You're dividing by 10. Notice all of these problems are dividing by 10. So we don't even have to do any steps of division. All we have to do is move each digit over one place to the right, and that will be just like dividing by 10. So let's do an example together. Here we have 820. If we want to make it 10 times smaller, all we have to do is move each place over one spot to the right. So the 0 moves from the ones place to the tens place. The 2 moves from the tens place to the ones place, and the 8 moves from the hundreds place to the tens place. So once we've shifted all of our digits, we now see that the value is 82.0, or just 82. So 820 divided by 10 is 82. So now let's look at number 2. On this one, we have 1,680. So 1,680. To divide it by 10, we just have to divide each digit by 10 by moving each digit one place to the right. So the 0 will move here, the 8 will move here, the 6 will move here, and the 1 will move here. And so now our new value is 168.0, or just 168. So our answer here is going to be 168. So let's look at number 3. This time we have 986 divided by 10. So once again, to make it 10 times smaller, or divide it by 10, you just shift every digit one place to the right. So the 6 will move to here, the 8 will move to here, and the 9 will move to here. So 986 divided by 10 is 98.6. Okay, let's do one more together. On number 4, we have 8,574, and we just need to shift every digit over one place so that we divide all of the numbers by 10. So our answer would be 857 and 4/10. You may begin to see a pattern forming as you've been solving these problems. Let's look at the relationship between the dividend and the quotient. The dividend was 820 and the quotient was 82. On this one, the dividend was 1,680 and the quotient was 168. On this one, we have 986 as the dividend and the quotient is 98.6. The last two look a little bit different than the first two. If you notice, the last two have the same digits, it's just the decimal that's moved. But that's actually what happened on the first two as well. We just didn't write that last digit since it was a 0. And the 0 doesn't really change the value of this at all. So that's why we just left it out. If you notice the pattern that's happening here, and that all the numbers are shifting, you might see that there's an easier way to do it too than writing the digits in the place and actually moving them over. And how you do that is you can just, first off, imagine where that decimal would go. Because every number has a decimal. If it's not written, it's the invisible decimal that comes right after the ones place. And then if you're dividing by 10, you're making everything 10 times smaller. So instead of moving all the digits, what you can actually do is move the decimal. So if you move the decimal over one place to the left, it's the same thing as moving all the digits over one to the right. And if we do that, we see that we end up with the same thing, 82.0, which is what we had up here. Again, on number 2, that invisible decimal is right here. So moving your decimal one place to the left is the same thing as moving all your digits one place to the right. It's just a little bit easier of a way. So now you see that we have 168.0, which is the same thing we got as the answer. And let's look at number 3. Here we have 986, and our decimal would be there. So if we move our decimal over one place to the left, it's the same thing as moving all the digits one place to the right. And if we have 98.6, it's the same thing that we got the first way. And same thing here, if you move this decimal one place to the left, it's the same thing as moving all the digits one place to the right. And we end up with 857.4, which is the same thing we got with the first strategy. All right, you try some on your own, and if you need help, you can rewatch the video. Good luck.